Good morning, everyone. Today, we're just going to go through a quick November update in terms of the freight market, the marketplace itself, just the way that the spot market is currently functioning. It's been it's a pretty flat month as well, November, that we've seen out there across the board, really flatbeds, dry vans, straight trucks, reefers. Irregardless, step decks, it's been really flat. Now, I'm not saying that some of you don't have obviously one-off loads or maybe some project freight that you're working on that isn't paying all that bad, but the spot market itself is still pretty stagnant. The truck freight market is pretty stagnant in all of November, really. Today is the last day. We can see that the freight market is simply not responding to the holidays as we would have hoped, essentially. So rates are either flat or going down, and freight volumes are also flat or down on the spot market. Now, I will share some numbers, but also a few opinions of my own. Even though we can see that capacity is theoretically decreasing, trucking authorities are not declining at a fast enough pace. And this is causing a problem with the rates. It really is. Volumes went up year to date. So, year to date, 23%, but the amount of trucks available has only decreased by 5%. And rejection rates, outbound tender rejection rates are at 4%. So that's pretty darn low. Okay. We need to see this number around 23% to see some of those great rates that we typically should be finding out there on the spot market. Okay. When things are at 4%, 5%, 6%, 8%, that's pretty darn low. So that's not enough confidence in that number to confirm that, yes, uh, truckers are going into places, then they are, or trucking companies are going into places and they are selecting to decline offers from customers or brokers. This is not happening. Okay. Now, I saw that rate in some market as high as 50% during 2021, the famous outlier year that we all went through, where we saw an increase in the amount of capacity out there. But currently, 4%, that's miserable. We need to see that number around 23% in order to truly get some positive numbers back for on a rate per mile basis so people can start moving loads above their operational cost. Okay. Another thing to mention is that the diesel national average is around $4.29 per gallon. Okay. That's obviously still high, still higher, but it has been significantly decreased over the last several months. Now, the spot market volume this month for reefers, for dry vans, and flatbeds hasn't particularly changed too much. We are just a bit too stagnant, in my opinion. This is nowhere near where it needs to be heading into peak season. Central Texas, however, has seen, if you look at it, the most amount of inbound loads for flatbed loads. The rest of America, not so much. Reefer volumes, they are pretty stagnant at the moment as well and pretty flat on the rate. The national reefer average is $2.45 per mile. And this also includes those short 200-mile runs, 300-mile runs, right? So pretty light on the rate, if you ask me, especially for reefers, right? In addition to this, we're not even seeing the seasonality we typically see for the reefer market. And it's currently not happening the way we would want it to happen. On the dry van side of things, volumes did slightly, and I mean truly slightly increase by a hairline. But what is wild is that even though volumes have increased a little bit, the dry van rates on the spot market have decreased on a national scale. Like it's like one is going up and the other one is going down. They're kind of going doing this, and that's not what should be happening. We should be seeing those lines in some type of mimicry. Some type of mimicry should be happening where if the volumes are going up, so are the rates. because the capacity has to uphold those volumes, right, to move that freight. But this is not happening. And the only three states that have outbound rejection rates that are higher than 10%, there's only three states that have higher than 10% or around 10% rejection rates: Wisconsin, Iowa, and pieces and parts of Illinois. And as a whole, volumes in November did not really change. And this is a cause for concern heading into the holiday season and also heading into 2024. My true, honest opinion is that we're not going to get out of this, if we want to call it a freight recession. I think it's a freight recession. We're not going to get out of this probably until 2025, the second half of 2025. You know, I'm the first to admit my own mistakes. I truly thought we would be, getting out of this somewhere maybe like beginning of May of this upcoming year. But there's no signs or confidence that that will happen. I mean, literally everything's like this or going down, rates, volumes, and things of that nature. And the fact that we're not really seeing that many net losses in terms of the amount of authorities that are out there active, it could go to show that some people put their authorities potentially on hold, waited for the peak season, or waited for this first part of the holiday season to come around. That is American Thanksgiving, and to get back into it and see if they can capitalize in some shape or form for on the rate side of things. But they didn't. They simply didn't. But that's probably why we have only seen a slight decrease in the number of authorities on a net gain or loss spectrum, right? We need to be seeing somewhere around, if you ask me, somewhere around 400 to 600 carriers going inactive in the FMCSA system every single week, and it needs to happen starting like this upcoming week for us to get out of this ASAP. I made a short reel video where I said that we need to see 220,000 carriers active in the system and not 400,000 or 350,000. The American population, the Canadian population, respectively, is just not high enough to have that kind of demand needed in order to support that many carriers. Okay. We need to be around 220,000 carriers for the ebbs and flows of the system to be working in the favor of the truckers and the trucking companies, and subsequently the real organic freight brokers, not the mega brokers and you know, not to mention the names. But we'll see what happens in December. I don't. I'm pretty confident that it'll be another, not a dip, but definitely a flat line for volume, flat line for tender rejections, and also not that much of a change in terms of the number of authorities. But truly, we do need to see that number come down to earth. It needs to be around 400 to 600 carriers a week, like I said, that are going unfortunately out of business in a supply and demand economy. We just currently have way too much supply and not enough demand to continuously have this system function the way it currently somehow in some shape or form is functioning. But it's functioning on fumes, if you ask me. This truly is fumes. The fact that someone can run a big rig down the road, semi truck, whatever you want to call it, 18 wheeler down the road at these rates, I don't know. I've talked to a lot of trucking companies and they are all struggling at the moment. The only ones that are kind of getting by are the project freight and the specialized unit. Outside of that, the tender rejections speak for themselves, right? The fact that we have the tender rejections where they are at speaks volumes, no pun intended. Okay. So again, thanks for watching. Just that was a quick November market update, what we saw and how it functioned. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys think. What areas of the United States are you seeing an increase in? Did you have a good November, and why did you have a good November? I think that's more important than did you. Obviously, we all want to succeed. We'd all love for all 350,000 plus carriers that are currently in the system to have loads and everybody to be happy, like everybody was in 2021, aside from the shippers and the mega brokers. Um, but that's not currently what's happening. The tables have flipped, tables have turned, so to speak. So let me know in the comments below what you guys are thinking, what you guys are feeling about this market, and we'll have a discussion. So thanks again for listening, and cheers. Ciao.